Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne, and today I'm going to be saying happy Thanksgiving. And I am aware that Thanksgiving was yesterday for you folks in the US, but I am recording this on the Thursday, so it's Thanksgiving today. But I'm going to be doing stages 95 to 98, the Hachette Partworks release of build the B.III. Lancaster bomber. Okay, so from what I understand today, we've got a motor, and I think we've got a little tiny fine bit of detail, and then we're going back to doing some of the base. So I don't know what I'm going to need. I am going to need the fuselage today. I'm probably going to need those brick blocks that I had for the Batmobile, so I can turn this over, because I believe I'm going to be doing some underside work on the Lancaster. The stand it's on at the moment, I don't see me putting too much pressure on it, because if I do, I think I'm going to damage something. That's why I'm going to use those blocks, but you'll see that later on. Now, I don't know if this is still available through Hachette Partworks. I have got it linked in the video description, and I've got the QR code on the screen. Let's find out together what we're doing. Without further ado, let's get cracking. So here we go. We've got stage 95, and here are the instructions. So we are starting another part of the base here. This is that fiddly section that I was talking about that we're going to be doing here. I don't know what that is. We'll find out in a second. It's the base and Bombay parts. It's Bombay parts. That's what we're doing here. Putting these together like that. Once we've got this in, we are going to be putting this into place, which is what I said. We need to turn this upside down. So I've got to be careful when I'm doing that. Once that's all in place, we're just going to go back to starting the frame for the base. Looking good. And that's the rest of the magazine. And those of you who notice changes, I have got rid of the other lights that I had in here. Now I've got two new workbench lights in here now. So I don't know how these are going to show up on camera. I'm hoping they're going to be okay. But these parts look small. So you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to put these on. Now today is actually Black Friday, I believe. These are available in my Amazon store. Once again, I've put a link down here. If you're in the US or the UK, just click on your Amazon store and you'll see all the model building stuff that I've got on there. Chances are a lot of it's going to be on sale today. Okay, I'm going to get all of this out because it is tiny stuff. Look at it. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I've got this little piece here, which is going to go into here. Now, they do want me to use a tiny bit of glue on that. So when they say tiny, what that means to me is get my glue stick like this and just brush the end over like that. There is a D-shaped pattern in here, so I'm going to push that in here. Just like that. That's into position. Now it does kind of sit at an angle in there, just so you know. Next piece I've got, again, it's got a D-shaped lug on it. It's going to be going into the back here. And once again, you are dictated which way round that's going because of the shape of the plug. And then finally, the last one we've got is a very strange shape. Again, I need to get this in the right way. Not the easiest thing to put in, but there you go. That's in like that. Now, just put that to one side while I bring over this section here now. Got some parts to put in here. I've got a straight pipe first, which is going into this side, and this time it's just a round lug. And I am using glue on this. And then this is going to be going onto this piece here. And what we've got is this pipe coming out here, which I'm going to put some glue on, is going to go into the hole that's left on the other side of this pipe here. So it's going to sit on top, just like that. See what I mean about fiddly? Now this will be secured to the model, but that at the moment it's very, very, very fragile. So to that end, I do have a base that this is going to fit in, and as you can see, I've got 4 large holes in that, which are going to be for those 4 lugs you can see on the underside here. As you can see in here, we've got some D-shaped holes. We don't put them in the D-shaped holes. They go just to the left of it, into the round holes. So I'm just going to line them all up and get these in. This is going to be a little bit fiddly. You know what? I think the easiest way to do this, looking at all the stuff that I've got, is to actually cut these off. I think I'm going to cut the lugs off, because they do want this sitting flush in there. I don't think I'm going to be able to achieve that with how it is. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be putting some glue just on the points where this is going to attach. And I will put this into place. And hopefully you can see that. That's looking pretty good. And it's flat in there. Now in the D-shaped holes that we've got left, we've got these to go in, which have got D-shaped patterns on them. And they do go in good. So I am just going to put some glue on these as well. And this is a lot of work. I agree, this is a lot of work for something, I'll be honest with you, I don't think you're going to see. So I'm going to get all of these into place. I can also see this being quite a fragile part as well. But as you can see, when they're all in, that's how it's looking. Now we do have some other pipes and stuff here to go inside. Not going to do that. What I'm going to do now is bring over the fuselage that we've been working on. So to that end, I am going to use these blocks that I used, as I said, on the Batmobile. Now you don't want this end here touching the surface because you've got the guns there. So I'm going to need to find something to put under there. I have got my shoe shine, which is great for polishing up 1/8 scale cars. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these wires here all come out the same place over here. And I've moved around my cameras as well so we can kind of see what's going on here. Now the way it's actually going to go is, if you see these raised sections here and here, it doesn't actually go into those. It's actually going into the 3 that are right down on the base there. And it's going to go in this way. So I'm just seeing, do we have to glue this in? It says we actually glue this in when the parts of the cockpit have been tested. So I'm going to gently drop this into place. There you go, I've got one side in. Get this other side in over here. I think tweezers are going to be my best friend here. There we go, that ends in. And then just this last one over here. And that's that one into place there. Wow. Now, we've got some little pipes coming off the side here, which do need to go just into the side parts here and here. But that is in place. Nice. Now I'm double checking that I've got this side here facing here, which I have. So I'm happy how that looks. You're never going to see it, but it's done. Now again, it's saying don't glue the next parts in place. So I won't. But we've got a pipe here going into the hole just at the back. There. And then finally I've got this piece here, which is going into the 2 holes that I've got here and here. Now I think what I'm going to do is get my phone out and do a bit of a close-up so you can see exactly how that looks. And there you go, that's in place. Hasn't been glued though. Looking good. Okay, I don't need this at the moment, so I can put this to one side. And I'm bringing over the frame that we were working on last time. We're going to be adding on to that now by putting this piece in here like that. So, got some brackets here. And I've got some JM screws. So, let's get them out. Get my big chunky screwdriver. And I'm going to be putting these brackets just on the side here. Now, there's 2 kinds of brackets here. I want the ones with the flat part at the top. So one's going in that side, and this one's going to go in here, but just on half of the board there. Get these in. This is the last one going in here. It does mean we are going to be left with these two brackets here that we're not using, but that's all there is to do in that stage. So in stage 96, we've got a lot more parts now for the base, which we're going to be continuing building up the actual flat section of the base here. So by the end, it's looking just like this. Looks like we're adding some sort of battery box here. This is the rest of the magazine. I think the best way to do this, if we get this open, and then I'll bring up the base as we've been working on it. And it's going to be beneficial to show you where we got to at the moment. It's looking like that. Let's turn it this way round because we've got two more things to put in here. And once again, I am going to be following the same pattern that we've got on this side. So this one's going to go under here like this. And I am going to need those JP screws, which are the flange screws. Let's have them ready. This is getting amazingly hard to film with how big this is getting. And then I've got another piece, which is going to go this side here. It's very hard to lie flat as well, since we put those details in the other side. I'll show you that other side in a second. Now, moving this down a touch, I want to reinforce this end. So once again, I've got a bracket, which is going to go in the end just there, held in with these flanged screws. And then I just want to reinforce this edge here as well, exactly the same way. Now I'm going to put this on the floor, but I want to give you an idea now of how big this base is starting to look compared to me. It's big, but I do need the battery box now. This is what the battery box is looking like. What I want to do is on this other side here, you can see an indent for a nut to go in. Let me just put that in there, which is going to be a little bit tricky to put in. Might need my tweezers to help me actually. That was tricky to get in. There you go, that's in there. Put my finger on top to stop that coming out. There you go. That means that I can put the top of the battery box in, and then I've got a screw to put in this side. I'm still holding it from behind so that nut doesn't pop out as I screw this in. Now I'm going to want to attach this into this base here. So this is going to sit flush just on that side there. And I've got another one here, which is going to go on this side just here. That's going to enable this to sit perfectly flat, as you can see. Once again, I've got these flange screws that we used for the base to hold these brackets in on each side. To each side. And now the fun part is I'm going to bring the base back up, but this time I'm going to have it this way round because I'm going to be putting this battery box into place. So it's going to go behind this box here into the position, by the look of it, there, just like that. And it's held in once again with those flange screws. And once again, I need two each side. Perfect. And with that done, that's all there is to do in that stage. And that is how that's looking at the moment. Okay, in stage 97, we have got a motor here. Now, we are going to be putting the motor housing into place on the bottom of the Lancaster again. This is going to be fun, and then putting the motor in place. Doesn't look to be that much to do, but I have watched John's model making video, and it might be a bit of fun trying to get the motor to fit in the caddy. So I'm going to look at that first. That's the advantage of having other YouTubers doing parts before me. I can see what issues I might have. Okay, this is the motor. I've worked with these motors before. I've got a lot of these motors in the workshop, actually. I actually used this motor when I did Time Machine. It does have great big blobs of glue on the black of it. And I think the problem that John's model making had is that when this was in here, the glue was restricting how you could put this down. And I'm going to have the same problem here. So I am going to melt that glue. Now, obviously, I could see why they put the glue in there to stop these contacts coming out, but it does impede it. So you do need to make sure that you've done it so much so that it can fit flat in there like that. This really does need to fit into this section. Now, what I'm going to do is just do a test fit of both parts together to ensure that that's going to sit flat like that. So that's going to be good. Okay, I've got my blocks again. Going to bring up that fuselage. Once again, I'm supporting the back to make sure that doesn't fall down, and I'm interested in this area just here. And this is going to be fitting over the top of the two pegs that I've got here and here. The good thing is that you can only put this in one way because the lugs are different sizes. So that's actually going to fit in just like that there. I've got some KM screws to hold that into place. They're just going to be held in from the top here. Then I get to put the motor in, which we now know is going to fit in there, no problems at all. Put the top on the motor there, just like that. And then I need 4 FP screws to hold that into place. So your challenge in this build is to do all of this work that you're seeing me do here, while at the same time making sure you don't knock any of the guns that you've got on the front and the back. Now I'm looking at mine and they're all still in position, so I'm happy. I will worry about this higgledy-piggledy mess of wires later. But there you go, that's the motor in place. Now I need to put this motor into position I, which to be honest with you looks to be the last plug that I've got here that hasn't got something in it. Just like that. And I'll worry about, again, tidying all these wires up afterwards, but that is all there is to do in that stage. Once again, I want to thank Mrs. Rhoda Wayne for making those blocks for me. A lot of people have asked about them. They're not sponge. I tried to get a real hard sponge, but it was too hard. And you don't want too soft a sponge because when models are heavy, they compress it. So what I actually use is, have you ever heard of Oasis foam? It's used in the floral business for arranging flowers and putting flowers into decorations. It's kind of like a sand, but it's put in a block form. Well, I had one of them and obviously got it to wrap it. Perfect job. So that leads us on to the last stage here, and I believe the last stage we're just working on the base. As you can see here, we're adding another panel here and doing a bit more with the frame. This is the rest of the magazine. Okay, so once again I'm going to bring up this base, and you guessed it, there's no difference. I'm just going to match off how we've got these pieces here and secure them in with those flange screws, which are the are they JM or something? JP. Once again, just on this end here, I'm going to reinforce that end by putting this bracket in that way round. And again, these flange JP screws to hold that in. And bring up the frame we've been working on here. And if I have it standing up that way with the circle here, I'm going to add another piece just here, which again means I'm going to be putting one of these brackets with the flat top on there. And I'm holding that in with these silver screws. Now I'm guessing they want to sit below the edge here because we're going to be putting a base on top of this and you want that to fit flush. So when we do put this in, you're going to kind of want to have sort of like a lip there. But with that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack. We do have obviously some leftover brackets here, which we're going to have to keep safe. So that was a recording time of 1 hour. So it was an easy but fiddly stage today, I think. Enjoy the Black Friday sales today. Grab yourself a bargain. Remember, if you want to check out my Amazon store, I have put the links just down the bottom there and you can get yourself a bargain. Anyway, have a great day. Take care. See you later.